Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Why, hello there, and welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Again, we want to thank our patrons for your support. You guys help to make this possible as we have been talking about the coming eclipse on April 8th, which is rapidly approaching since the beginning of this channel, all the way back in 2017. And here you see eclipse tips for locals. A local's guide to prepare for April 8th, 2024. Expect heavy traffic Thursday 4/4 through Tuesday 4/9, especially Monday 4/8. And it goes on to talk about schools closed. Fill up your gas tank the weekend prior to the eclipse. Be sure to have supplies ahead of time. Groceries, water, eclipse viewing glasses, etc. Don't schedule appointments to be run on the 8th. Coordinate with your employer the possibility of working from home or having a plan for additional traffic on your work commute. Note that the cell and internet service could be overwhelmed and additional crowds as well. Please be sure to have a backup communications plan and be mindful that all local and first aid responders will be in extreme demand during the event. And here you see also coming through on one of the weather channels, eclipse tips again. And, you see this comment from two different ladies saying, is this normal? This was in Texas. I've never seen a warning, let alone a warning for an eclipse. Obviously, Texas is on fire right now, and that fire is massive. Mm-hmm. It literally is going all the way across the entire upper part of the panhandle, all the way into Oklahoma. And people are obviously abuzz about that. This is curious, too. This gets you into the Jonah and Nineveh story. When you look at this, look at the different Ninevehs that are on the path of the eclipse. Whoa, Nineveh, Texas, Nineveh, Indiana, Nineveh Township, Ohio, Nineveh, Pennsylvania, Nineveh, New York, Nineveh, Nova Scotia. Whoa! Again, this goes back into the Bible. And you read here, Jonah 3, Joseph goes to Nineveh. What is this all about? Well, the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Go to the great city of Nineveh. Proclaim to it the message I give you. Jonah obeyed the word of the Lord and went to Nineveh. Now, Nineveh was a large city. It took 3 days to go through it. Jonah began by going a day's journey into the city, proclaiming, 40 more days, and Nineveh will be overthrown. The Ninevites believed God. A fast was proclaimed, and all of them, from the greatest to the least, put on sackcloth. When Jonah's warning reached the king of Nineveh, he rose from his throne, took off his royal robes, covered himself with a sackcloth, and sat down in the dust. This is the proclamation he issued in Nineveh. By a decree of the king and his nobles, do not let people or animals, herds or flocks taste anything. Don't let them eat or drink, but let the people and the animals be covered with sackcloth. Let everyone call urgently on the Lord. Let them give up their evil ways and their violence. Who knows? God may yet relent and with compassion turn his fierce anger so that we will not perish. When God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction that he had threatened. Are we to take this to be a proclamation of what's to come? Again, we have done dozens of videos talking about these eclipses and the culmination on April 8th, and looking at all the different angles as well as sharing what we've gotten from the guides. And I do think, again, this goes back to the Pluto Return also, because the Pluto Return, as so many of you noted, my memory wasn't necessarily off in that 2022, the very next day, Russia invaded Ukraine, and Pluto Return is when something is basically redone in a new way. And the Pluto return of the U.S. is that the planet Pluto is back in the exact same position as it was when the United States was, the signing of the Declaration took place, and the USA as a country was created. So typically, this is when empires fall or they dramatically change. It's all about extreme change. And again, the energy before the time and after the time will be in effect. But absolutely, Russia took advantage of that timing to move on Ukraine. And of course, we understand this is all done through much, much, much higher level beings than any of the political figures that are out for show for the public.
Right. You know, when the media is starting to treat it the same way you guys would or we would, and have a level of concern and then spam that out to everyone, when this goes over, it's Eagle Pass, it goes over Nineveh 4 times. There, I mean, right over New Madrid. I mean, how many coincidences do you have to have before you say, okay, there's something to this and the controllers know it? I mean, is everything going to really shake, rattle, and roll that very day? It could, but when I look at planetary alignments, and, you know, let's not forget the asteroid, that big old thing with horns that's on its way, and it's going to be in the sky that very day. They're both going to be in sight along with the other very large, magnificent planets. There's so much going on in our sky that day. A lot of people with anxiety, you know, everyone's kind of going through their own thing, feeling this sort of murky, not very good feeling, looking at the fires in Texas, feeling that's ominous, feeling a little bit like, yeah, that kind of feels deliberate. Our Schumann is absolutely going crazy. People are having a little bit of a tough time. So be good to yourself. Be very good to yourself. Eat good food, drink good water, put all good things in your body. And I mean good things. If you try to bury these emotions with sugar, it's really going to come back and hurt you, because I believe with this eclipse, there's going to be a lot of positive change in the sense where people are going to rise up. I feel a really huge split going on between those who are awake and those who are not. And I think we're going to be called to release a lot of our old heavy baggage, and that includes bad food.
And so you guys will know why we quote the Bible, because it's not the reason why others might necessarily quote it. So I was giving you a translation there from, you know, again, a typical translation you would find in most Bibles nowadays. Now, this is from the names of God, where you actually take the literal Hebrew names, and then we see it's a little different, because you see then Yahweh spoke his word to Jonah a second time. And you see it's not always Yahweh. You go to line 5, the people of Nineveh believed who? The Elohim. Elohim is plural. And so, you know, again, Elohim is mighty ones, powerful ones, judges, those that judge humanity. Who judges humanity? Well, look to, the Greek mythology. It's the Olympian gods that judge humanity. They're the ones that make the important decisions. So you see it goes back and forth, and it's talking about an individual deity, Yahweh, or an individual Elohim, and also the group of the Elohim. So again, this could be referencing conflicting ideas as well between what to do with humanity. So again, think back to Enlil and Enki. And you have Enlil, too many of them, just wipe them all out. Enki, no, we don't want to wipe them all out. You know, and then, of course, Enki sent word to try to save some. And some of the Anunnaki, when they saw the destruction, they wailed. They cried and they wailed, because some of them actually liked us compared to, you know, the ones that made the final decisions again. But they are all part of the draconian system. They have all bent the knee to AI and to the real Satan again. But it's important to look at this and understand this is again part of the scripture. It's part of the scripture, but it's part of the script. When you think about, well, you know, what's involved in an eclipse? The moon. which is precisely placed so that it exactly will cover the sun. The chances of that being arbitrary are like nil. It's not arbitrary, and it wasn't put in that place by the creator of this universe, but it was put in place by the creators of this matrix. Oh, absolutely. And as we've talked about before, I just want to reiterate, there are multiple tribes of people, multiple traditions, different continents, from Africa to Australia and others, and even the people that were in ancient Italy, the Etruscans, they remembered a time when there was no moon in the sky. When there was no moon in the sky, the moon did not exist. And it's in more than one tradition. It's even mentioned in Greek literature, speaking back to a time before the moon was in the sky. Now, what we have gotten is the moon was placed in the sky at the time of the Younger Dryas extinction event. In fact, that was a big part of the extinction event. And I've seen that on Twitter, one of the top searches is for Nibiru. So people are starting to put things together. But at the same time, a lot of them were talking about Nibiru is coming. It's going to cause another pole shift. Well, the information we got from the Galactic Federation is they won't be allowed to bring it this close this time. And, they won't be able to do that. And the higher authorities will not allow it. This is a war, though, so that's the thing you have to realize. And people don't always act according to treaties, and often they try to circumvent treaties and get by with things that they could get by with. So again, we should always be on guard. But, there is a term for this, too. And so proselenos in ancient Greek is referring to the belief amongst the ancient Arcadians. They were a group of people older than the moon. They remembered before it came and was put in place. And there's agreement that we find on how it was put in place. It was put in place by the mighty ones. The gods themselves put the moon in place. And one African tribe even says it was put in place by two brothers that were always disagreeing with each other. Sounds a lot like Enlil and Enki. Florida set to ban Gil Bates fake meat because it causes cancer. Good. There is a lot of good going on. There's a lot of pushback going on. It's wonderful. This lady is a former big pharma rep, a nurse, a grandma, and she's going to value the kids over cash, and that's good because we need more people to say, hey, we'll find a way. We don't have to stay in this business that's harming so many people. And then, of course, we have the political leadership, figureheads they are. But in reality, too, I mean, the darkest of the dark. And that's all being, shown out in the open a lot more. Documents viewed and published here on the counter signals show that Trudeau's virologists were fired after CSIS accused them of clandestinely conspiring with, the fine dining ware country's military assets. Yeah, absolutely. This has all been planned. And the reality is that most of what we're using here on the internet is under their control. And this is why we run into all the censorship, because they're part of it. They are part of it. Yep. What's this? What's this nano stuff? Design of wireless nanosensor networks for intra-body application. Yes. It's done by Suk-Jin Lee and Chang Yong Andrew Young, Kyu-Soon Choi, and Sungun Kim back in 2015. Talking about how you can, have nano technology implanted into the body, and it can self-assemble and can do amazing things. Oh, maybe it'll be able to find cancer and blast it out. And you have that combined with this patent in the U.S. patent, 3D graphene oxide nanoparticles for cloud seeding. Yes, the patent number's right there, of course. Who did this one? Linda Zhao and Haoran Liang. Okay, yeah. not in the sea here. You know, there was that general back in 2005 that said that the first wave of attacks on the U.S. when China decided to take it over was going to be biological. Yeah, maybe maybe they had a plan of making funny designs in the clouds.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at it and think about what makes up graphene oxide and you spray it in the skies really, really heavily, I mean, just very heavily, and say you're someone of a very sensitive nature and you're taking that stuff into your body, and let's say that they just cast a wave of energy across the United States. And, I would think that those who are sensitive, those whose light bodies are activated, could very well have a very difficult time, and it could be hard. And I think this is just the number one reason why we should always constantly be doing heavy metal detoxes, all kinds of detoxes. Go out of your way to detox. Go way out of your way to eat food that is good for you, because we can't afford, as sensitives, we can't afford feeling that. It's too much on our bodies, on our energy, on our psyche. I mean, it really is a huge attack on those who are sensitive. It's just so sad.
It is, and I can't resist to go from Proselyne's, speaking of the moon, to Prometheus, the movie, which talks all about the black goo. And you have this engineer, well, who are the engineers? Well, they're making them out to be the Anunnaki, quite obviously. They're giants. They're humanoid giants, and, it's like it's discovered that we come from this one particular area. Let's send a space crew over there to try to meet our makers. And when we get to them, we find out they are just damn old, nasty, grumpy, evil beings. And in fact, they sent the this black goo stuff, to Earth to wipe us out because they just didn't want to deal with us anymore. Echoes of the Sumerian tales, which again predate anything biblical by thousands of years. So this one engineer drinks the black goo, and it shows his DNA breaking down. It shows his entire body breaking down, turning to dust. But we also see that the black goo ends up mutating and turning beings into something extremely demonic. And this, by the way, is AI. It looks like a human, but it's actually AI. So you really have the whole story in this movie when you get down to it. It's very, very much what's going on a different level. And again, they can say, don't say we didn't tell you.
Mm-hmm. I know. I mean, it's just, it is such a huge mess. And really, it's hard to comprehend the evil. And that's why a lot of people are getting turned off to even watching the news. It's just too difficult. You reach a point where it's like, okay, I understand the picture. I just cannot keep up with it any longer. But at that point, you keep up with it enough to keep yourself safe and understand what's going on from time to time to time. But it's just something that they know. And, it really makes me wonder if they're having us absorb all this graphene oxide, and then they're putting frequencies out there, and there's a lot of accidents happening. How much of the population is being controlled, and to what degree?
Hence, this is your zombie apocalypse. This is the zombie apocalypse. It's in more ways than one. This tweet from David Wolf talking about all the things that are in your water. This is why we double filter. and you can't trust anything. And I really remember the days when my mom used to just pour a glass of water from the tap. Oh my, oh my, oh my. But the good news is people are waking up in droves. And we have seen that, again, certain counties, certain townships, they're saying, no, absolutely not. You are not putting any more fluoride in our water. Now, all the people that are on all the medicines that end up either being urinated out, and then you have recycled water. I've seen some of the leadership, drinking water recycled from all sorts of things that, are emitted from bodies. You have them adding nitrates to all your deli foods, which are going to quickly cause cancer. And again, they're adding everything they possibly could add that's going to shorten the lifespan and cause all sorts of health woes. So, this does make a difference. We are making a difference. We are pushing back. And you can see, congratulations to Florida. And again, all those counties that are saying no more. And the countries that have said, no, we don't want any GMO foods from the United States. Meanwhile, you have an Illinois judge ordering 45 to be removed from the primary ballot. Just give them time to appeal. We'll see what happens there. Again, this is all part of the drama. It's all about getting you guys excited and getting people to the point where they will, create hazardous situations themselves. Here is David Icke speaking out about who? Elon Musk. And he is saying again, because Elon's tweeting all sorts of stuff. And as David Icke is saying right here, he's tweeting a ton about the border every day. He's tweeting about all the illegal aliens. He is your made in America hero. Yeah, absolutely. He's a psyop. He's a billionaire techie. Again, if you can't see it, it's, I don't know. Yeah, it's the rose-colored glasses are still on. Haven't taken that particular color pill, still needs to be taken. There's always that desire that you want somebody to come and save us, somebody that has the money and the ability to make a difference. But, what we need to do really is make their whole monetary system no longer worth anything by getting out of it as much as we can. Again, there are people that are much better at economics than I, so maybe they'll have ideas. The simplest ideas that I've seen, barter and trade. I realize they even have clauses in there to tax you on bartering and trading. Oh yeah, they've thought of everything because they've done this to us so many times. Way more times than we even know. In fact, we're always living in the end times. This is the big reality. We're always living in the end times for like the last 5,000 to 6,000 years. So, again, what are we to do? Just keep doing what you're doing and keep spreading the love and spread that love wherever you can. Take time out to make a difference in somebody's life. Show kindness instead of the greed and the corruption. And, again, we are going to get through this. Maybe not everybody, maybe not even the majority are going to make it outside of the system. But just like those that survived the Younger Dryas extinction event, there will be a remnant. And it's important that it's the ones that understand that we need to have a totally, totally different way of doing things.
For a very long time, we've been working up to certain points, and I do believe the eclipse is a certain point. And for everyone who has been working on expanding their light body, strengthening their light body, for everyone who has been learning about everything that we should have been taught in kindergarten, now is the time to really use it. Now is the time to shine that light. Now is the time to anchor yourself and help protect those around you, because shining your light is going to really make a huge difference. Now is the time.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.